Mariners had a rough end to the first half. Where's your head at them with them at the beginning of the second?
Concerned. You lost 3-4 to one of the worst teams in all of baseball while watching that lead in the division shrink. Luckily, the Astros were losing at the same time you were losing, so you still maintain that one-game lead. But, listen, this is crunch time. You've got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and you can't go in there against inferior opposition and justify, we faced some tough pitching, we had some bad breaks, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's baseball. I know you're not going to win every game. That's clear. But 3 of 4, 3 in a row to a team like the Angels that are undermanned and hurt and playing for nothing, that's concerning. So hopefully this time off, kind of got people re-energized, refocused, whatever needs to happen. Took place, and they come out of the gates swinging because you're going up against the team that is right on your heels in the Astros in the very first series.
Besides Julio, who is a Mariners player you're buying stock into turning things around in the second
half? Cal is Cal. Cal's never going to hit for average. He's not going to be an on-base guy. You look at those numbers and they're not great, but he's timely, as we've all come to know and love, and he's producing. But outside of those two, I'd probably say J.P. Crawford. I mean, we've watched everybody in this lineup have moments. We've seen Garver with a walk-off. We've seen Raley with a nice stretch of a couple weeks, and Rojas at the beginning of the season, and even Haniger at the beginning of the season was your hottest hitter. So everybody's sort of taken turns getting hot for brief stretches or big moments, but at this point, if I'm looking for somebody for a prolonged success, if kind of looking like they turn things around, I'd probably bet on J.P. Crawford.
What did you make of the AllStar Game and the lack of Mariners inclusion during?
In terms of players that didn't make it to the AllStar Game, they didn't have any that were deserving. I mean, that's the reality. If you wanted to make a case for another player, maybe Cal, but when you compare him to the other American League catchers, whether it's Perez or Rutschman, the numbers weren't there. So you didn't really have anybody you could make a case for. Maybe you'd go pitching again and go Kirby, but yeah, I think the guys that were there, and Gilbert and Munoz were the two that deserved to be there. I would have liked to have seen Munoz pitch, but as a Mariner fan, selfishly, I'm glad he didn't have those pitches on his arm. I mean, he's a guy that you've counted on a lot, and he's been put in the 8th inning multiple times. So he's had to do a little more than most closers are asked to do at times. I want him as fresh as possible for the final 64 games of the season. So yeah, it would have been cool to see him pitch, but I'm not brokenhearted that he didn't.
What kind of stock do you put into what Teoscar Hernandez said about hitting T-Mobile Park?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I hadn't heard that specific thing, and for people that don't know, he talked about being in the batter's box and looking at the pitcher's mound and feeling like it was never straight, that it was kind of crooked based on where the batter's eye is. I hadn't heard that. Certainly, we've heard more than a few times. It's just not a hitter's park. Hitters don't love hitting there. The ball doesn't carry well, especially for right-handed hitters. As far as it being crooked or anything, I would think that would be a fairly easy fix if that were the case and that was a consensus that everybody felt that way. And hey, things just look off to me here. But I don't put a ton of. I think he's searching for answers. Why didn't it work here? He said he loved the clubhouse, he loved the players, he loved service, he loved the front office. It was nothing about the organization or the players or any particular individual, but he just couldn't hit here. He just didn't hit well. I don't know if he was searching for something, or maybe it's not a comfortable park for him. Mike Trout would have a different story, as he is just crushed at T-Mobile. So it's unique to every individual. But as far as that, I don't put a ton into that.
The Astros are in town this weekend with the M's holding on to a slim lead. How do you feel about it?
I'm nervous. I'm nervous about it because of what we just talked about to open this. That the Mariners sort of face planted going into the All-Star break when it looked good. You took 2 from the Padres on their home field. That's a very good team, very good offensive team. And then you dropped 3 out of 4 to a bad team. It's just so it doesn't instill you with confidence. It doesn't make you feel like, hey, they're going to come out of the gates, all cylinders firing and all that. We'll see. I mean, they're certainly capable. They're in first place. As much as it doesn't feel like it at times, they are in first place. They know what's at stake more than any of us. So I'm confident they can get the series win. I'm hoping the time off sort of rejuvenated and re-inspired this team.